The ground pulsed beneath Myra's feet, each heartbeat echoing through molten stone. She stood in a cavern of living flame, walls rippling, breathing, whispering her name in the crackle of embers. The air shimmered with heat, but it wasn't pain she felt. It was recognition. Every flame carried a face, not of strangers, but of herself. Versions she had hidden, broken, silenced. The girl who screamed and no one came. The lover who walked away before she could be left. The warrior who wanted to burn the world clean. They surrounded her, living echoes made of fire and memory. "You're not real," she whispered. The flames laughed softly, a sound like weeping turned inside out. "We are what you cast away." Myra took a step forward, the heat licking her skin, daring her to come closer. Her heart pounded, a wild rhythm matching the pulse of the fire. "If I touch you, will you destroy me?" The flames rippled. "If you don't, you already are." She hesitated. Anger rose in her chest, bright and terrible, but this time she didn't run from it. She let it burn. She felt every injustice, every silent scream, every time she had swallowed her truth to keep peace for others. The rage was pure, not cruelty, but clarity. "I was never meant to be small," she breathed. "I was never meant to be quiet." The fire flared, the cavern roaring in response. The echoes of herself burned brighter, not consuming her, but illuminating her, showing her strength where she had once seen only ruin. A figure emerged from the heart of the flame, tall, calm, eyes molten gold. It looked like her, yet older, fierce and serene all at once. "You are not here to conquer the fire," the figure said. "You are here to remember that it was always yours." Myra stepped closer. The flames parted, wrapping around her like silk, neither burning nor hurting. Her pulse steadied. The heat became a heartbeat, the light a hum beneath her skin. When she opened her eyes, her body glowed faintly with gold. The cavern had quieted. The fire no longer raged. It danced. And for the first time she realized the truth. Her anger had never been her enemy. It was her compass. Her fire did not destroy. It transformed. Somewhere above, through the lattice of shifting light, she felt Kale's presence again. Distant, but alive. "Hold on," she whispered, voice steady now. "I'm coming." The flames rippled once, almost in approval, and the path ahead opened. A molten bridge leading upward, toward reunion, and toward whatever truth the dreaming would show them next. The dreaming stirred. Where Kale had faced his shadow, the darkness no longer hung heavy. It flowed, reshaping into quiet rivers of ink that glistened like obsidian silk. The lattice overhead shimmered, rethreading itself, as if the realm had taken a deep breath after holding it too long. From above, unseen watchers, the fragments, the echoes of past weavings, began to move again. The boys' laughter threaded through the silver corridors. The storm's whisper wound through the fire. The soldier's bowed head lifted, eyes open, seeing what had changed. The dreaming was listening. Kale's confrontation had rippled through its roots, loosening old knots, reawakening dormant memories that had been too tightly bound. And far away, beyond the dark veil, fire flared in answer, fierce, alive, and wild. Flames licked across the horizon where Myra walked. The air bent around her, trembling between fury and creation. The fire wasn't consuming anymore. It was remembering. In the vast weave, shadow and flame spiraled toward one another like twin currents of a single river. Between them, the golden thread stretched thin, vibrating with anticipation. Echoes whispered through the changing dream. Two threads divided, learning their truth. Two patterns unraveled, waiting to meet. When they return, the dreaming itself will change. The light shifted hue, silver to crimson to black, then to gold again, a slow turning of the world's inner wheel. The air grew denser, alive with possibility. The dreaming trembled. It was subtle at first, a vibration beneath thought, a shift in the rhythm that underpinned all things. The lattice, once calm and luminous, began to shimmer with new hues. Threads rewove themselves, patterns spiraled outward, and memories that had lain dormant flickered like stars finding breath. Kale's fire still burned somewhere in the depths, a living spark in the crimson corridors of the lattice. Myra's light, tempered by shadow, pulsed across the upper strands. They were apart now, but the dreaming could feel them both, and it responded. Every motion in one realm sent ripples through the next. Where Kale's flame passed, forgotten truths awakened. Where Myra walked, dormant emotions stirred and sought form. The dreaming itself began to adapt, to learn. The corridors shifted from simple paths to living conduits, twisting and reforming around what the two had become. It no longer tested them. It mirrored them. Every step, every breath, every act of courage or surrender changed the structure of the world around them. The echoes of their weaving returned as whispers. Some were grateful, some were afraid, and some, faint and distant, began to sing. Not a human song, but a resonance. The sound of awareness waking from its own reflection. Somewhere deep in the lattice, the figure, the one who had guided them at the beginning, stirred again. Its outline shimmered through the fog of memory, half forgotten, half remembered. Its voice, soft as thread sliding through cloth, rippled across every corridor. The loom awakens through the weaver. The weaver awakens through the dreaming. But unity demands loss, for only what dissolves can become whole. As the words faded, the lattice itself seemed to pulse in time with a single, immense heartbeat. Kale felt it, Myra felt it, the entire dreaming felt it, and somewhere, beyond both of them, the golden path began to reform, not as one thread, but two, spiraling toward each other, ready to converge once more. Kyle moved through the lattice, each step echoing in threads of light that bent and shimmered beneath him. The golden path had fractured behind him, yet ahead, a faint pulse called him forward. He felt it first as a tug at his chest, then as a resonance in the marrow of his bones. A rhythm he didn't recognize, yet somehow remembered. He stopped. The space ahead was empty, yet alive. Shapes swirled at the edges of perception. Fragments of memory, shards of possibility, whispers of forgotten worlds. And then he felt it. Myra's presence, faint at first, like a tremor in a still pond. "Myra," he whispered. The lattice responded, light folding toward his voice, threads vibrating with attention. Somewhere beyond the shimmer, she mirrored him, hesitant, cautious, yet drawn by the same invisible current. The dreaming had been waiting for this, waiting for them to find each other again, to merge their awareness. But before they could reunite, Kale faced the final illusion. A figure rose from the floor of the lattice, his own shadow, yet taller, more fluid, eyes reflecting everything he feared about himself. Doubt, regret, the echoes of every choice he had never made. "You cannot move forward until you face me," it said, voice like a chorus of Kale's, fragmented yet whole. Kale's chest tightened. The fear that had haunted him through the lattice, the fear of failing, of fracturing the dreaming, surged. He faltered. The shadow laughed softly, folding and unfolding around him, testing him. He thought of Myra, her hand that had steadied him in the fire, in the silver hall, through every fork and thread. He closed his eyes, not to escape, but to gather the courage that had carried him this far. "I am more than my fear," he breathed. The lattice pulsed in answer, light quivering, threads acknowledging. The shadow thinned, breaking apart into motes of gold and silver, absorbed into the surrounding threads. Kyle felt himself lighter, whole in a way he had not been before. And then he saw her, clear and vibrant, threads of her presence entwining with his own. Mira's eyes met his, wide, certain, fearless. "Kyle," she said, "we've found the center." Together they stepped forward. Their awareness intertwined, threads of thought and memory weaving together. Light surged around them, and in that surge, the first pulse of the dreaming ignited. It rolled outward like a tide, filling every corner of the lattice, touching the fragments, the echoes, the unborn possibilities. The dreaming awoke. It was not chaos, not order, but something entirely new, a space where memory, choice, and imagination could coexist, carrying the weight of everything and the freedom of nothing all at once. Kale felt it in his chest, a steady heartbeat, a rhythm not his alone, but theirs together. The loom had stirred, alive and listening, ready to remember and to dream. "Myra," he whispered. "Together," she replied. And for the first time, Kale understood. They were not stepping into the dreaming, they were its architects. And somewhere beyond the lattice, beyond the threads, A single silent pulse echoed. The dreaming had begun. The lattice stretched outward, threads of light flowing in every direction. The pulse Kale and Myra had ignited rolled across the dreaming like ripples in a vast, invisible sea. Memory and possibility intertwined, forming patterns both familiar and strange. Fragments of the past, a soldier's farewell, a child's laughter, a storm at sea, no longer floated aimlessly. They found balance in the light, held in place by the weavings of the two who had dared to step fully into the dreaming. Each echo left a mark, a resonance that would endure beyond their own presence. The dreaming was no longer dormant. It breathed, it waited, it remembered. In distant corridors of the lattice, other threads shimmered in response, awakening slowly. Shadows of dreamers long lost, of cities unbuilt, of choices never made, all stirred, aware that something fundamental had shifted. The dreaming itself was listening, reshaping, gathering energy from the awareness of those who had dared to weave. Kale and Myra stood together at the center, the golden pulse radiating outward from them. They did not speak. Words were not necessary. The lattice carried their understanding. The dreaming was alive because they had walked its threads with courage, acknowledgement, and unity. And somewhere at the edges, in the spaces beyond the luminous web, a presence waited. Silent, patient, the source, not as a god nor a judge, but as an invitation. The dream continues. The keepers have awakened, and the world yet unborn waits for those who remember. The first pulse had been set. Every future ripple, every story yet untold, would begin here, from the loom, from the threading of two who had walked together into what no one else could yet see. In this quiet awakening, the dreaming was ready, and in its readiness, the stage was set for the dreaming ones.